Hey, good morning, Patriots. It's day two of democracy in crisis, according to MSNBC. And man, oh man, it's terrible. There's gambling going on in the casino, and the people who have been winning and getting their winnings is the Democrats, and they don't like the fact that the game is. I don't want to say the game is over because it's not that easy. It's not just you go in and just say, "Hey, let's arrest all the people at the gambling tables." It's much more complicated than that. But man, there's a race to the bottom of stupidity between Representative Ocasio Cortez and Pocahontas Elizabeth Warren. I don't know who's stupider, but man, we're seeing some prime time stupidity and ignorance by the Democrats. And Chris Cordani, who's a smart guy. As a matter of fact, he's got a lot of smart things for us to talk about today, right, Chris?
Well, we do, and yeah, I was thinking about the dumb things we can talk about as well, like Stacey Crockett, who was yammering on
Oh,
about whatever tears are going on, and she's like, she was talking about how competent she was. I'm thinking, has she watched herself on video?
I
I
don't
guess if
know.
you say
Did
you're
you?
competent, you are.
So did you know that they have to recycle and shred tires to get her eyebrows? They have to take tires and shred them, take big chunks of black, and then put them on her eye. It's kind of a scientific wonder when you think about it. You have to avoid the steel because you know that the steel belt will poke out and poke your eye. So they've got to get that just sweet spot of rubber, cut it out, and then fray it, and then put it on her eyes. I don't know how they do it. There should be a scientific show on that. I think that'd be kind of cool. But
Oh, I
speaking of,
can
yeah,
I can give you this one. There also, as far as stupid people go, there's this woman from New Jersey, Lomonica. Oh, what the heck's her name? Lomonica McIver. She's trying to enter she's trying to enter, or at least this is her entry into the "Why I Want to Be Just Like Maxine Waters" contest. You want to go with dumb representatives? Here's one.
We will not take this. We will fight back. Fight back. Fight back. And as I close out, because I know we've been out here for a long time, and God damn it, shut down the Senate. We are at war.
This is that protest where they're all screaming about of Doge and everything. They're upset at the Bobs, that sort of thing.
oh my God,
We got some
that
Maxine if you
literally
want.
hurts my ears.
I
mean,
know.
it
I
to
should
my
have warned you.
ears. Yeah,
I
let's
should.
do some Maxine.
Okay.
Do
Yeah,
some
this is
Maxine.
Maxine from the same place just to show Stacey Crockett and this Lamonica chick that nobody can out Maxine, Aunt Esther herself.
California.
Low, Monica. Low, Monica.
Hello, everybody. We have convened here in the right place, the Treasury Department. We have got to tell Elon Musk, nobody elected your ass. Nobody told you could get all of our private information. Nobody told you could be in charge of the payments of this country. We have told you you've made enough money off our government yourself.
Okay. First off, woman, the people of the United States of America told Donald Trump that Elon Musk can audit this bloated government.
Yeah.
So she's lying. She's wrong. This man was assigned to do so. Hey, if he didn't do it, Trump would have done it another way because the
Yeah.
people told him so.
Let's clear this up real quick. So, first off, Elon Musk at this point is considered a special employee of the U.S. government. There she is back when she was on TV in a good way, right? Yes.
We love
By the way, she was funnier back then too. She's just not funny now. But I digress. But the issue is, let me be clear. Musk is, to your point, Chris, he's an employee of the federal government. He just doesn't get paid. You can be in a special status and paid or not paid. So Musk doesn't want money. It's like, I just want to go do it. Secondly, last time I checked, George Soros, Alex Soros, they're not appointed either. And yet they've been telling the Democrats what to do a lot. Just saying. And more importantly, regarding the bureaucracies, Samantha Power. That name will probably resonate with some because she's like a redheaded. What is it with redheads and Obama and Biden? It's like they pick these the gingers to go out and do some of their dirty work. Anyway, Samantha Power was a bureaucrat, but let me point out to everybody that she wasn't elected either. Samantha Power was not elected. I don't even think she went through confirmation because technically USAID is a bureaucracy that was created by, you know what it is, right, Chris? Executive order.
Yes, EO. It was still the number is still escapes me, but it's in that 60, 61, 62 range. Look at all these people next to
60,
George
61.
Alex Soros, by the way.
Yeah, there he is.
These are the people owned by him.
So what they've done, and I think we all know it. We're all family here. What the Democrats have done is and this is Larry O'Connor said this. I want to give credit where credit's due. Larry said this yesterday. The whole issue of saying that Musk is not elected was essentially probably tested to one of their focus groups, and it played well. So it's not playing well to everybody else because everybody else looks at this and says, what have they been spending money on? They've been spending money on transgender plays in Serbia. Really? Well, I don't even get to see the play, and I'm paying for it. So, it's that bad.
Comment. Yep. That was spreading atheism in Nepal.
Yeah. I think maybe the llamas will listen to that, but most people won't. But so my point is, we all here see what's going on, and I love, and you played it yesterday, where you had Joy Reid with the pizza things on her ears,
the UAP
platters.
earrings. Yes.
Man, oh man, she, if those things caught in a wind, her head would be torn off. By the way, I can't believe that. People should. I wonder if they issue a warning when they sell those things, like do not go out in high winds or you will decapitate yourself. Anyway, she was talking, and this is where I want to be clear. Again, we're all friends. When they say threat to democracy, what they mean is threat to bureaucracy. So what is happening is that President Trump is going through and chopping out their bureaucracy. No other president from Reagan on has had, well, even before Reagan, has had the courage to actually try to stop the growth of the federal government. And I said this after Trump came out of office last time. Trump failed to get control of the budget process, and that budget process was being used to fund elements of his own government against him. So Trump learned that lesson. God bless him. He learned the lesson, Chris. He's like, oh yeah, I got it. And he's got it. And he's got it. And they got it. And they're getting it. And they don't like it. They had Chris Van Hollen. I mean, let me ask you a question. And the Patriots, is this performance art by the Democrats, or are they all really this stupid? What do you think? What Patriots? What do you think? Are they just a bunch of wannabe? What was it? Babs? Are they all just wannabe actors and actresses, or are they really this stupid? Are they trying to be like the way we were, or are they just stupid? What do you think, Chris?
I would have to say that most of them are very stupid. On the other hand, and by the way, I'm a little frozen. That's why my lips aren't moving right now.
Yeah, it's okay.
Yeah, the idea
You're not a Democrat. It's okay.
No, that's fine. But they might be stupid, or a lot of them are. Those are the followers. But there are people that have an evil level of intelligence that know that they can manipulate the stupid and put them in positions of power so they can control them. And those are the ones we have to worry about. Or there's somewhere in the middle, the Kamala Harrises of the party. Those are the ones that are stupid, but think they're much smarter than they are. So they're going to try to go rogue on these same people and actually make things worse.
Well,
so those are the scariest.
I think that's so. Yeah, I think it's a one size not. Although I think Ms. Crockett, man, oh man, is there some? Did the Democrats get control of our feed? Are we flying around? I feel like I'm the flying nun here or something all of a sudden. So.
Well, I'm just going to I'm going to step back for a second, but George is here, by the way. We can start talking to George.
Good
Welcome.
morning.
Good morning, George.
How you doing? Good morning,
Good
everybody.
morning. How are things in Florida today?
It's still the same. They're doing a few protests here and there with Mexican flags and Palestinian flags, and about the immigration that the ICE agents that are trying to do, and
Yeah.
it doesn't stop.
Let me
Yeah, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Well, I want to ask you a question about that. So, Ron DeSantis has given guidance to do a Second Amendment tax holiday. You're gonna load up on your favorite ammunition. That's great news, and way to go, Ron. Right? I mean, that's great.
100%, real good. Yeah, I'll be loading up. At where's the ventriloquist? I saw Chris was a ventriloquist before. I heard his voice, but his lips weren't moving.
That's right. I'm doing it right now. Tony can do my voice really well, by the way.
Yeah.
Even the heyo.
Well, sometimes
Heyo.
I'm not. I can't do it this morning. I'm still trying to wake up. But so George, the other thing I wanted to ask you this morning is, did you notice that who's that Governor Chris of New Jersey? He's hiding illegals under his mattresses and in his garage.
Yeah.
Who's that guy?
Oh, what's his name? It's Phil Murphy.
Yeah.
Phil Murphy. So, George, do you think that Tom Homan ought to go arrest his Irish behind and put it in jail?
Oh, most definitely. They're trying to, the governors and these mayors of these blue cities, and they're going to go after them. I mean, Tom is not going to take any stuff at all. In fact, when he met Pete Hegseth and himself down at the border, even the cartel challenged them. But they're making a big mistake. All these idiots, or should I say assholes, are trying to challenge the new president, the new sheriff in town, President Trump, and it ain't gonna happen. I mean, he's gonna do. He's gonna take over Gaza and make it the new Mara Gaza, the new Trump resort place. And
well, I was on the air last night on Newsmax doing the thing, and I was on with Ed, and then later with Rob Finnerty, and we were talking, as you probably noticed, about how Trump is rewriting the ceasefire agreement in real time. And I think I was listening to my favorite crying space, NPR, National Public Radio, or Panhandler Radio this morning, and George, they're all crying. They're saying that somehow what President Trump is proposing is going to endanger the lives of Palestinians by actually making peace. Can you circle that square? How do you endanger lives by making peace? I don't get that. Do you understand what they're saying? Because I don't.
Well, I think they're endangering their own lives, the Democrats, because they're on suicide watch. And you're going to see the stock and pharmaceutical companies will go up because the antidepressants that they'll be taking. That's how bad it's going to be. Because they're exploding. They're just unbelievable. Especially that woman Crockett, that congresswoman from.
We want to go through that. Yeah.
Yeah,
we'll go through some of that
with,
today.
Marjorie Taylor Greene. That's right. I love that.
Yeah.
Street.
Well, so I was saying it seems like a race to the bottom by the Democrats. I mean, first off, I don't know of any American, especially the patriots who are here with us today, who support any of the wackadoodle. That's a technical term for Democrat insanity. The wackadoodle spending by the Democrats on all these things overseas. And Van Jones, my favorite Al Sharpton wannabe, actually said on air on CNN that people are already dying. Chris, do we have a death count? We need to get a death count going, because they say that people are already dying because they've stopped USAID. Is there any way we could get that? That'd be kind of interesting. But he's saying that
I have the count here.
He made it as a declarative statement. He made it as a declarative statement that people are dying because of,
I have
of
the
what
count.
President Trump did. Here's the count.
I pulled it up. Here it is.
You should do a count. Yeah.
0.
Yeah, 0. There it is. There it is. There it is.
That is it.
Well, we'll monitor that. For the Patriots, we'll monitor the global death count. We should call it the Van Jones USAID death count.
Well, I'll tell you what.
We'll track that for y'all.
To quote Dean Warmer from the great movie Animal House, 0.0.
There you go. There you
That's
go.
how many.
Yeah, we'll even monitor the points for you, right? The 0 points, point whatever. We'll keep it down to the decimal for you guys. That's how good we are, right? Right, Chris?
I like it. I like it.
Agree 100%. It's just I'm amazed. I'm just amazed, especially when the $50 million that went to Gaza for the condoms. I think they were trying to protect the goats, maybe.
So
they were using them as bombs for Gaza, blowing them up with helium.
I got to be honest with you. So there's no goats left. I think they were going for rodents, George. Just saying. So,
yeah.
They're trying to protect rodents. I don't know. I don't even think they had gerbils left, Chris. I don't know. Should we do a survey of Gaza and find out what kind of hairy furry things were left?
Oh my God, that's unbelievable. How did they get away with this stuff? We're passing all that US aid and stuff. The amount of money that was in there. It's unbelievable.
They do because there are two reasons. The nice name, U.S. aid. When people look at it, it's like, well, we're giving aid to people who need it. Not true.
Happy.
It sounds nice. And also, there are certain things within USA that we need to do. This is why when the liberals and the leftist senators are saying, oh, they're going to dismantle aid at USA. No, they're auditing it and they're going to rearrange it, putting it under the auspice of the State Department, making it more transparent and using it to again, we have to peddle influence. If the Chinese are peddling influence, they're using money to peddle influence in Africa and in South America. We need to do the same. They're high resource nations.
Let me address this, and I don't think I'm going to get in trouble here, but I might. But we'll just say it. So, after World War II, Chris, we learned that yes, we have to invest in rebuilding and influencing things globally. I don't disagree. The question becomes, how do we do that? And I don't want to make this a policy heavy show, but I'm just going to touch on it real quick. The U.S. Army, as the ostensible holder of ground after we invaded countries, recognized we had to have something called civil affairs. There's a whole part of the Army called the civil affairs branch. I actually had to go through advanced course in civil affairs. And what it does is it categorizes individuals with special skills who can go in to a country and help rebuild it. We did this again after Iraq. Iraq Army was doing a lot of this. It wasn't USAID. There was an enterprise office at the Pentagon who was doing this. So my belief is, if you want something like this to happen, I'm not against the idea of soft power. We do it all the time. It's just what happened was USAID, which was, Trump said it was a good idea taken over by the left. What it became is the slush fund for everybody. By the way, did you notice that as soon as they cut off the funding, Politico, the spokesperson, the outlet representing the deep state, couldn't make payroll? Did y'all notice that?
Exactly. I wonder how many of the Soros or Soros Foundation or the Open World Foundation, whatever the thing's called.
Open Society.
Open Society, yeah. Well, Open Borders Foundation. How about that? Does that work better? Yeah. Bunch of.
Well, I think. I think they wanted open social diseases. I think that's what they want, but that's a different story for a different day. But what we have essentially, and George, I think this is something I'd like you to talk about a little bit with us, is you've seen from the sidelines. I don't know if that's the right answer because you've been very active, but the effect of the left having so much money to throw at us as individuals has been scary. We're going to come to find USAID was funding social media sites. Heck, they even paid the BBC within the last 2 years. They paid the BBC, I think it was last year, to create negative content against Elon Musk and President Trump.
That was just
discovered. Now, USAID did that. Yeah. Yep. So how are we not to be outraged about the fact that USAID was funding foreign opposition media against our side's politics? What do you think?
I mean, that's their plan all the time. I mean, I'll tell you what, if Trump was for transgender and if Trump was for sexual changes on children, I bet you they would be against it. That's how that's
true.
That's how their mentality is. And their mentality is whatever he says, they don't want, they want to change it. So if it was opposite the other way, it would be the same thing. The problem is they hate what President Trump stands for, and it's for the people, and they are terrified. And I got into a situation on Monday night because we had the J6ers there. All the guys
we will talk about that. Yeah, we will talk about
later. Yeah, we'll do that. But the whole thing is, I told them, and there was some Republican people there. I mean, true ones from these Republican executive chairs. I told them that the Republican Party, the rhinos, especially what DeSantis is going through with the legislation of Florida about the illegals, they are rhinos, and they hate the MAGA movement. The MAGA movement is terrifying the Republican Party. And they have no idea the power. They want to play games like they want to come out. We're going to fight, attack. We're not going to be on the offense anymore. We're going to be on the defense. And we're not going to take the garbage. And I told them to their faces, I'll get into your face. And they know that. Because I went to Tallahassee. As soon as I walked up, the chair says, oh, no. Because they know I endorsed a lot of those people. And I'll confront them. I pulled out the Constitution. And I said, this is who you're supposed to represent. Not what you want to represent, but what we want you to represent, according to the Constitution.
Right. So I just recognize, and I think this is where President Trump did learn a lesson. One of the criticisms I made publicly over and over, and I think appropriately, was that President Trump's first term, he didn't learn until too late that he needed to control the spending of the federal bureaucracy. Because what had happened is organizations like USAID, FBI, yesterday we learned, I don't know, another thing. Hey, good morning, Jerry.
Good morning, Tony.
Good morning, Jerry.
Good morning.
We learned, we learned yesterday that FBI spent over 60% of its budget chasing down J6ers. Now, if you're using 60% of your resources and operatives, agents, to do something bogus, that means real things are happening that you're not addressing. This also happened, and I did a thing on this with Judicial Watch back in 2018. Jim Jordan, Tom Fenton, and I were on a panel, and my information going on air that morning was that 64% of the foreign counterintelligence budget of the FBI had been focused in 2017 on Russia, on the whole Russia collusion narrative. So this is an example. USAID, FBI are two examples of how the deep state, the permanent bureaucracy, the Democrats have all insulated themselves and been able to produce resources by us, taxpayer funds, to be focused back on undermining the Constitution and the Republic. And I'm sorry, Jerry, you'll back me up on this, I'm sure. When they talk about democracy, they're talking about bureaucracy. That's what they're really talking about.
Well,
right, Jerry?
Yes, their definition of democracy is essentially, what they want, whatever they decide they want, we all have to agree to. And so therefore, and they're fundamentally Marxist, neo-Marxists, or cultural Maoists. So none of their ideas work, and all their ideas are destructive. And they fundamentally start out hating God, and they hate life, and they hate human beings. All their things are negative. All their scientific theories are junk. Okay. And so the fundamental problem is you can't give a group of Marxists unlimited access to money. So finally you get someone in there with the gumption to actually be a boss, who has actually run organizations and understands fiscal responsibility and dares to say, what are you guys doing with the money? Now, I think Donald Trump woke up when he realized that they were using the money to go after him.
Yeah, of course.
And he finally said, wait a minute, so when he became the victim and he saw how they were one indictment after another indictment after another indictment, Russian collusion, tearing the country apart with Antifa and with Black Lives Matter, burning down St. John's Church or attempting to do so, St. John's Episcopal Church across from the White House. Donald Trump just said, I've had enough. Okay. And then when they finally threw him out and Pence did not support him on January 6th, when there were obvious anomalies going on, you can't stop the counting of voting, and all these ballots show up and they run through the machines and Biden wins when Biden couldn't get 10 people to attend a rally. And if they did that, it'd sit in their cars and listen to him because of the pandemic. So finally, the American people just got sick of it. And, I think my solution, which is move the entire bureaucracy to Death Valley. Say you guys are welcome to keep your jobs. Just go to Death Valley and you can have we'll put you in Quonset huts and you can have all the solar panels and, wind turbines and electric vehicles you want. And good luck. In other words, you got to dramatically reduce the size of the so CIA, get it gone. Department of Education, get it gone. Why do we need the EPA? You just go down department by department. What do you people do?
Yeah.
And you find out that half of them don't show up for work. Half of them don't work at all. Half of them don't even know what their responsibilities are. And then you put the entire FBI out searching a Russian collusion hoax that's based on the Steele dossier that some guys made up entirely, this ridiculous, this golden shower nonsense of Donald Trump with prostitutes at a Moscow hotel room. I mean, the thing is so preposterous that it had to be their imagination of what they would do if they had the chance.
Yeah. But look what they did to California.
That was Mark Elias's fantasy.
Yeah.
Look what they did to California. They kept on counting the votes until the Democrat won.
Yeah. I mean,
lost 4 feet.
Okay. We're not dealing with geniuses here. We're dealing with evil people. Yep. I mean, okay. So Governor Newsom, we got a news alert for you. When you got a fire, it's a good idea to get water, because water does put out fires. Now, this is a hard concept, Governor Newsom, but it's not going to rain today. Why don't we find some water? And I will put the water.
So did you see?
Yeah.
Yeah, Jerry, did you see yesterday that Senator Adam Schiff was complaining that President Trump delivered water to California? How dare he give water to people who needed to save their homes? Okay.
So we want to send the military in to solve these problems on the border and in California. First, we got to get rid of the admirals with dresses. Okay.
Yeah.
Then we got to say, we really don't need any transgenders. We don't even know who transgenders. They don't even know who they are. We don't need to be worrying about, whether their pedicures and their dresses are ready for the parade down Fifth Avenue. Doesn't need to look like a gay pride parade. So we get a military that can do something, and then you get a commander in chief who says, we're just going to take over Gaza. I'm sick of this. These people are going to come back. It's a mess. There's no electricity. There's no water. There's no sanitation.
No, I look, I was on air last night, Jerry. Yeah, I was on air last night on both with Ed. Good morning, Ed. Ed Henry and Rob Finnerty talking about this issue, because what had happened is that, to your point, look, I've done the same thing myself. If you want it done right, you got to do it yourself, right, Jerry? It's like, F y'all. It's time for us to step in. So I think that's what Trump's going to do. Is like, okay, we've been talking about this for 30 plus years. Really 40. Since
try 2000. Try 2000 years. 2000 years.
Yeah. Well, yeah, exactly. Yeah.
I mean, and you can't solve these problems in a rational way. You've got to basically use an out of the box solution. Saudi Arabia is saying we want peace. And
of course,
and they're all meeting together. What do we do that? So, why don't we decide to quit killing Jews, and let's just put the Jews to work, and we'll all prosper? Is that a bad idea?
Yeah. So, I want to ask a question before we go on. 2 questions. First to Jerry. Jerry, it's very clear at this point, just in 2 weeks, that the Biden folks weren't acting in good faith to achieve peace. They were, I think, the agents of chaos. I think Tony Blinken was purposely outdoing his rock and roll. By the way, do you remember when he was in Ukraine and he played
I remember
Neil Young's Keep on rocking in the free world. That's an anti-war song, for God's sake. I mean,
I know. And he went to some bar or whatever to do it like he's a rock star.
Yeah. So is there any way you think we should hold Blinken and others accountable for the fact that they purposely tried to keep the conflict in Ukraine and Gaza going? Because that's what they did. They never once sought peace.
If I were Milley and Brennan, I'd be hiring an attorney that could defend me against treason charges.
I have ideas about Milley. I think I don't want to get into it on air, but by the way, not to digress too much here, our friend Sean Parnell was named, I think, day before yesterday as the new spokesman of the Pentagon. Sean is a great guy. Just look at who President Trump's approving.
Yes,
to go into the Pentagon with Pete. And I'm just saying, to your point, if I were Mark Milley, man, oh man, I'd be packing my bags to go to Bermuda or somewhere it's difficult to be retrieved from.
Maybe you should go to Afghanistan and make a deal with the Taliban.
I think he'd look good with one of those Haji hats. He'd look good in that. He'd look good. I got one of those tats. I'll grab it in the bag. In a break,
yeah,
so.
I think it would be a good idea for him to go to Afghanistan. He could destabilize Afghanistan. The best thing we could do would be to send all these Democrats to our enemies.
Oh, there you go. That would that's like a Trojan horse virus.
Let's ship a bunch of these Democrats to China.
Well, I'm going to get So anyway, before we get, let's
fly the entire Senate to China and let them deal with them and get a new Senate.
Yeah. Well, I think they'd be good in the Himalayas. You could put them up there mining salt in the Himalayas. But before we get, George, when do we get our 45, 47 shirts?
Yeah.
So, well, I spoke to the Trump campaign, and they do not want us to change our name and number.
Okay. Really? Well, that's cool.
Yeah. We're known as 45, and Trump was originally 45, and they want us to keep it as 45. I had some designs came out.
Tell them you can't drive 45. You need to drive 45 and 47.
I drive 85.
Hey, listen, I carry a 45, but that doesn't mean anything.
Me too. I got one right here.
I just bought a new.
Here's my 45 right there. That's a 45. That's right.
I like that. Looks good. Hey, you pointed it at me. How about that? Anyway.
Yeah, I mean,
I ran out of bullets. I got my swords.
Jerry, Dr. Corsi, you're working on a very important project on your show, The Truth Central, and you're bringing a lot of people from the January.
Yeah. Bring it up. Yeah, go with that.
So
I'll be right
we
back.
do have a special guest.
That's great. That's great. Hey, Josh.
Chaplain Joshua and Macias, welcome to the show. And you obviously have known Tony. George, you were there on January 6th. Obviously, Chaplain, you were there, and Tony was there. It was a lot different than the media portrayed it, but you share your stories with Dr. Corsi in a series on the Truth Central, and we want to bring you and some of the other people you're working with on this show, Wake Up Patriots, to talk directly to our Patriots. So
it's an honor.
Yeah, talk.
Chris, George, good to see you again, brother.
Hey, brother, how you doing?
Doing great.
We had a bunch of guys Monday night. We had.
Nice. Yes. So always on the field for 45, and good to see our men out there. Good to see Tony, and I know he just jumped, so that's awesome. Jerome, good to see you again, sir.
Yeah, and Josh just got back from Mar-a-Lago. And,
yes.
Tuxedos. I mean, he and Derek, the attorney, looked really good in the
quite dapper, if you will.
Quite dapper, yeah.
And, yeah.
Tell us about it, Josh. Tell us about it.
We sharpen up when we need to,
Yeah, you did. You did.
That's good.
And it was a big event. A big event. I mean,
it was.
What I'm talking to Josh about is that when all these government buildings that are going to be abandoned, I want to start raising money and make them housing for former military. When you get out, you can just convert them all into condominium for the military to get into. But
yeah, we need to. I mean, look, that's just as Kash Patel said, make the headquarters of the FBI just a museum of what not to do. Let's do the same with the DC jail, because that's a total black site.
Yes.
What they did to our veterans, what they did to our J6 Patriots, and these real men of valor who stood up for President Donald Trump in a time of need and were willing to put their life on the line and everything else, as well, their family, friends, and any associations, quite frankly. I mean, they came after anybody who was on my phone. They too hopped from me into the through the campaign to every leadership of Veterans for Trump since 2016. And so then we need to just see this all go to the dustbin of history and say, this is what you are not to do. And I agree, put them into Quonset huts. Let them feel what it's like when we're out downrange.
That's right.
And what it's like when you're doing the hard work and blood, sweat, and tears and for the country. I mean, if they want to serve, then go serve. Really serve. Learn what it's like to really serve your country, and put them into some harsh environments and let them work it out and go do what they got to do.
Right. So Joshua, I guess you heard yesterday in the news, it didn't work, but a bunch of FBI agents filed a federal injunction to stop President Trump from finding out who they were who worked on the investigation. So to me, that's no, I know. It's like, really? And so,
really?
But
really?
To me, that's an instant, spontaneous utter of guilt. Would you agree? It's
Yes.
like, yeah, it's like you're guilty.
And they know it.
Yeah, the names were all given over. Today, Pam Bondi, literally a new sheriff's in town. I don't think they're going to survive.
Gotta be a big awakening.
Well,
yeah,
it's funny. It's funny. Their poster child, Fetterman, approved of Bondi as well. Just let her through. The funny thing is, as every
he's kissed
day,
the ring, he knows.
But every time that guy seems to recover a lot more from that stroke, get his mental capacity back, he becomes less progressive.
Well, Chris, he's got a good theme that Chris is onto something here, that you have to be mentally insane in order to be a communist Democrat.
It's true. I mean, it is a mental disorder,
Mental disorder.
And Tony, you're so true that they were trying everything they could to step away from what is real illumination of all their sedition. And this sedition, so much sedition leads to treason. And this is treasonous actions against our country, against we the people, the U.S. Constitution, and all that we stand for, all that you've stood for in your service, all that it stood for my service, and every other veteran before us, and our family members, and then those who serve right now on it. And it's the true spit in the face, not only to the Constitution, but to the will of the people, which was very clear that they wanted Trump in as 45 and 46 because he did win in 2020. And of course, now we see him as 47. Even though they did their best to make that not happen.
Well, Joshua, what's worse? And I'll let the other folks jump in here in a second, but it's not just that they targeted our side. I mean, we went through that today. We recognize now that DHS, USAID, this was all happening. But what's worse here is they crossed the line and they put you and others into essentially torture chambers for purposes of trying to create a Gestapo, I'll just say it, a Gestapo-like atmosphere, saying basically, if you dare support this president, you're going to end up either ruined. I have a friend of mine down here who was financially ruined. He was indicted. They were going after him via the prosecutor, federal prosecutor in Richmond. And though even those who didn't go to jail, they would financially ruin you. It was like, one way or another, they were going to punish you for your political beliefs. So let me ask you a question again. And I don't feel the need to hold back. I believe any FBI agent who actually engaged in investigating a J6, either any aspect, needs to be at minimum fired, probably the other way. I think they should be examined and actually, by the way, there's a saying, the process is the punishment. I have no problem putting all these guys through 5,000. I don't care what the number is. I think there should be a reconciliation. It's not retribution. It's reconciliation for them departing from the investigative norms, which they know what the norms are, and violating their oath of office. So, Joshua, do you think that Pam Bondi should put together a task force and go after these folks in that regard?
Oh, yeah, big time.
You better believe it. And we stand at the ready to be a part of that task force, as do a whole slew of attorneys are on our right next to us, from the Fellow Society to Regent Law, stand at the ready. Many veterans, the J6 vets themselves, there's many tier 1 veterans that are well skilled in investigation, that are ready to step in to be a part of this, are ready to take on the job necessary to bring justice for the J6ers. And it's imperative that we have this all brought to the light so that never happens again. the amount of egregious civil liberties violations that they came against us is unparalleled. I mean, unparalleled. This is beyond us, beyond Helinskyites and Stalin tactics. Yeah. This is beyond Gestapo. They came out as federales, if you will, to then goose stepping through houses, upturning Melania's underwear, for Pete's sakes. Right. It's ridiculous what they did to us.
Yeah. Well, Joshua, what about Jeremy Brown? And there's six.
Brother, we can talk about him right now. I mean, look, they put red dots and green dots on many of my combat veteran friends for nothing. They had helicopters over Gabriel Garcia's house. Now that Jeremy Brown's still in there is preposterous. I was this close, gentlemen, to getting him out in front of the DC jail. They were walking him out. Right. They were walking him out, and then they turned him around and put him back in processing and shipped him to Kentucky.
And we were at a protest down in Tampa with the judge. The judge down in Tampa is holding this whole stuff back because it's the layover from the Biden administration. Once Pam Bondi gets in, and also Kash Patel, this will change. And this is what we told everybody. I mean, people lost their homes, their wives. Like Joe Hackett that was there at Monday night when we had all those guys there, Kelly Maggs, everybody. Well, the stories. And these stories have to be told. They have to be, everybody has to get out and tell exactly how you were tortured. You were hostages in a third world, what do you call them? Gulag. It was,
and that's what it was. It was that gulag.
Yeah, like one of those prisons you see on.
The prison in Philadelphia, when I was in there in November 5th, I remembered Solzhenitsyn. I don't know if you know the Russian history, but he wrote about his gulag endeavors. And if we look it up, you can understand. But it was actually from Solzhenitsyn, with my mother was a Russian history major, which gave me the idea to start passing notes underneath my door, because that's what he had to do to get messages out. So by passing messages underneath my door, I helped to rally half of the called Q block, which was a quarantine block under COVID. No kidding. They put me in a Q block of Philadelphia under quarantine of 45 days. And as people were dying inside their rooms and being called out, people were freaking out. And I said, no more, end this. Let's go on a hunger strike. And I was passing messages underneath my door to make that happen, thinking of what Solzhenitsyn went through inside the Russian gulag. And it was within that time frame, within 2 days, that 90 men that thought that I was a bomber, at the time they were calling me a terrorist, that District Attorney Krasner, who's a paid Soros lackey, was saying it's as if we stopped the school shooting. Because, hey, Tony, you got a lot of ammunition behind you. It's as if they stop the school shooting, if they stop you, because you have ammunition. It's ridiculous and preposterous. Yeah. And it was at that time that 90 men who never met me before, but thought that whatever they thought before that the CNN, CBS was promulgating, said, no, I'm going to listen to this man. And that's what forced the war to come down and change everything that was going on inside the whole gulag on how they were treating us.
Right. So Joshua, let the Patriots know, what exactly were you charged with?
Right.
I was charged originally with having a gun without a permit, even though I'm a concealed carry of Virginia, and I was cleared twice by investigation. The lower court dropped that charge and kicked it out. Right. And as they kicked out that charge, they brought election interference charges against me for asking if every legal vote was counted in Philadelphia while I'm on live on Facebook. And it was then that they tried to get me for 35 years in jail for election interference charges, asking if every legal vote is being counted.
Yeah,
which I beat.
I mean, that to me, right there, that's the key. I mean, the concealed issue, it's like, we got it. I think that was just to get the nose in the tent. And that's sounds like to me, Joshua, that they spent more time than developing this nonsense. And let's be clear for the Patriots here, simply because you used your constitutional right, your First Amendment right to say, hey, I think something's fishy. I want to have this looked at. You were locked up for simply asking hard questions, correct?
Correct. Well, exactly. It was District Attorney Krasner who said,
anybody. Right.
He said, you send your Proud Boys Trump or unofficial poll watchers, I've got something for them. It was clear prosecutorial overreach. It was clear political gain that he was doing this for. And he said, I got something for you. And it was even the phone call that they made to the sergeant that arrested me. He said, I've never received a call in 16 years on the beat. like this never happens. And he said, do you have Macias in handcuffs? He says, no, sir, there's no reason to. Well, take his sidearm and putting him in, I've got something for him. They couldn't even arrest me at the moment because he didn't know what he was arresting me for.
Yeah,
because he didn't know.
I want to make the point. Let me make the point. What we're dealing with too is, look, once you get whoever was running the White House, whether it was Obama or whomever it was, whatever communist was doing was calling the shots. Whether it's Garland or whatever Marxist was in charge, and I don't know which one was.
Milo Soros, the cousin in the attic.
Okay, so suddenly the word goes out that you're going to get promoted, you're going to get kudos, you're going to get rewarded if you can go get J6ers and put them in prison. Okay, and if you can go against white supremacy. So how many FBI agents wanted to be on the J6? All of them. How many judges wanted to put J6ers away? All of them, because it was the culture. That's what they weren't going to get rewarded for releasing you.
No,
they knew what their orders were because it was coming down from the top. So you had a corrupt organization that the only people who would be in it would be people who had no morals and were willing to sell themselves in order to advance their careers, to get rewarded. And it's like any organization. In the military, if you're out running correctly and you're out there to fight the enemy, you're going to get rewarded for fighting the enemy. That's your mission. So the mission here was to destroy Trump and to destroy anybody who supported Trump, and then to demonize any white, especially white males, and dare you be Catholic and like the Latin Mass, or be a grandmother and protest outside an abortion clinic. Yeah. So they knew what their mission was. And so, and finally, what we're doing is we're seeing that the bureaucracy was on this mission. Okay.
Well, Dr. Corsi, I think it's even more egregious than that, because we have to go back to the DNC and their divide and conquer list, which I was on that list of 300, and General Flynn was at the top of it, and they struck him off. And then it was Steve Wynn, and they struck him off. And as they were going down the list, they wanted to see that everybody was divided and conquered. And then they built upon that, and that list was promulgated even more. And then they had a target list. And if you hit one of these targets, then you would get an extra bonus, because D.A. Krasner received that bonus when he went in for his next election cycle. That's all. That's what it's all about, money.
But it wasn't inclusive, like the list of candidates for the vice presidential or the vice chairman of the party. So it wasn't that inclusive. Some of the Patriots commented here. I want to check in with you on those, Joshua. Chaplain, Universal 23 is asking, are the J6ers thinking of suing the government?
Thinking, we're doing it.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Guaranteed. Go better believe it, brother.
That's right.
Yeah, there's already RICO violations that are clear. There's clear violations. I mean, there's probably 15 counts of egregious actions just against myself, and then Tony as well, and every other 355 veterans, and then 1,600 J6ers that we know of. I mean, each civil liberties violation, quite frankly, just one of them has 10 in itself. Okay. Yeah. So they ran over us multiple times, and then multiply that by 10. That's where we're at.
Yeah, everybody could do individually lawsuits instead of a class action one.
The other thing is, I want to state this, but I want to add this too. It's not even it's not just the prison. It's not the going after everybody. Lives were ruined too. Families were ruined as well. This is it's more than it was horrible what happened to the nonviolent J6 protesters, but what's happened with the ripple effects, it was disgusting what these people did to you.
Let me hit that real quick. Yeah, so let me hit that together. So I was talking to one of the folks who was there on J6 just 2 days ago, and the whole violent part of the J6 thing was small. And I'm not trying to diminish. I don't want to be. But I'm telling you, it was like a 10 to 20 minute period. It wasn't like an entire violent act. And I'm tired of the left saying, oh, J6. No. And by the way, Joshua, you could probably confirm this. The Capitol Hill police perpetrated it. They started shooting things into the crowd. They opened the gates, let them in. And they basically, I'll just say this, and I may get in trouble, but I'm going to say it. They put them into a kill box. They put the crowd into a kill box and started firing into it to spin them up. That's what happened.
They sure did.
I don't want to hear this. Oh, it was violent. It wasn't violent until the Capitol Hill police made it violent, right?
Well,
that's what happened.
20 flashbangs. This is the problem when you defund the police. You de-educate the police. So we need to refund, retrain the police properly. And as we had combat veterans that have trained police, trained FBI. Think about this, guys. Okay, Tony, you know this community. Blackwater trained how many FBI agents? How many times did combat veterans?
Too many, apparently, but yeah.
And unfortunately, well, look, I can tell you that when they showed up, their basic qualification standards are so subpar that any E3 would shoot them out of the range. Okay, this was pathetic. The kind of community that they sent to our trainers. So now you've got guys that are trained, skilled combat veterans that are on site that are saying, "What are you doing? Like, this is not how you are trained to act as a police officer. Stop it." And so it's this lack of funding and lack of training that caused them to panic and send all these 20 bombs into the crowd that then caused the whole tear gas to smoke them out.
Yeah.
So what they ended up doing was causing themselves to retreat.
Yeah. It's the same thing that was done in Maidan in Ukraine when they started shooting some of the protesters, and they blamed it on the president's security force in order to get the whole mob to go insane. And I'm sure inside of the CIA and State Department, you'll find that they had manuals as to how to create these color revolutions and what the techniques are. The techniques were used.
They were involved.
Here's
they
how to
incited
avoid
the riots.
They incited
themselves.
If you guys, if anything happens again, if you want to take part in a protest and not get thrown in jail or not get persecuted, you have to have somebody, at least one person carrying a pride flag and another one carrying a Palestinian flag.
Yeah, that's it.
You'll be okay.
I just go block the roads in LA and
exactly.
Just
hit somebody with a skateboard. You'll be a national hero.
Listen, there was 1.5 million people there, and if they wanted it, right, Joshua, there were 1.5 million, and that wasn't the first time. We were there a couple of weeks before, and we were there in November. Correct?
Remember even the day before, we had hundreds of thousands.
I was there that day. I was there by the ellipse. I just had to go back to work later that day. So, I was there that day too.
You know what I'm talking about? The amount of people that were there. Something really could have been done, but the whole thing is everything else.
But one of the reasons. But let me point this out, because sometimes the obvious is the most difficult thing to observe. I know it sounds wacky.
No, you're right, Tony. Yeah,
the day of this event, who was president? Jerry, who was president of the United States on
Trump? Trump was president.
Trump was. So it's not legally possible to insurrect against.
That's right.
You cannot insurrect against yourself.
That's
right. Against yourself.
It's like boom,
that's why we all dispersed. We're like, you're the president.
I know. So I'm saying it's like no. You can't. There was no insurrection. It's not possible. So what they're left with is this. They've created this narrative, that's why we're here today, to do two things: to tear down their narrative, to support Joshua and their right to return to normalcy, which means investigating the wrongdoing, which means I believe putting people in jail for actually having lied. The real insurrection, Joshua, is the folks who went after you. Is that correct? I mean, that's the real insurrection.
I agree.
Yes, and as Chris said, they even told me if you had a Biden sticker on your truck, we wouldn't even be talking right now about any of this.
Exactly.
They knew.
True. This is true. I was half joking on, and only half joking on this whole thing. Look, Nick, also on the other side of that, next time bring some tar and feathers. We should go back to those days where we heard about these Democrats cowering in the corner. But politicians used to be afraid of their constituents. They used to be afraid of backlash. They used to be afraid of getting kicked out or tarred and feathered, and they were forced to work for the people. They don't realize they're not bosses. They're pencil pushers who work for the people.
Well, we're all about bringing righteous retribution and restitution and justice to those that need it, and it's real justice. This is what we're talking about. This is a righteous cause. Although I forgive them for their actions, I still call for justice, because justice needs to be heard for all the families, all the friends that said, well, we don't know what happened. We're just going to watch and see. and then you're ostracized, isolated. But they also came after our lives. I mean, they killed many people. They need to be held accountable to this. There's many lives that were lost throughout the process. And I just thank my Lord and Savior for his anointing and protection, because 4 times they tried to kill me and failed miserably. I'm still here today fighting the good fight. But they came after many people and they succeeded. And they need to be held in account for this type of action.
I agree with you 100% with the amount of people that died. That they say it's the Capitol Police, which it wasn't. It was mostly the Patriots. No. Ashley Babbitt was assassinated, and the guy gets a Medal of Freedom, right? And also
runs for Congress.
Yeah, but she was denied a military burial.
That should be rectified.
This was a period of time. Look, it's a period of time where if you wore a MAGA hat on an airplane, you could get thrown off.
Exactly.
Yep.
Okay. In other words, the culture as a whole had gotten corrupted to that point where parents were allowing their children to go to school and be taught sex change operations and asked what gender they were. Finally, I think parents and the country is saying, we've had enough of this. You know, we've seen it. We see what these demons would do, and we're tired of it. We're sick of it. Now it's time to go get the demons and punish them. They need to be corralled and put into
sent back. Demon slayers. Let's go.
One thing I like to say, very important, and I told this to people Monday night. Just because Trump won, this is not over.
It's only begun.
It's not going to be over. It wasn't over when he won the first time.
People have to be known that. They have to be told that it's not. This is not. Yeah. This is not a game. I mean, this is that's what I said. We can't be on the defense. We got to. We got to be on the. We got to get into these people's faces.
Well, George, I likened it to what my cousin did on D-Day. Okay, my cousin was Sir Admiral Beecham Ramsey, the Supreme Allied Commander on D-Day, and I likened it to how he fought fascism of his day to kick the Nazis out of Europe. That's what happened for us. This is our social civolution, okay, and this is our D-Day, and it's our chance to kick out fascism of our day, to remove it and eradicate it from our country, and to remove all of this so that it never happens again. Because the amount of lives, I just want to honor those who have fallen, because of those names that we were just talking about, those who died on J6. We brought up Ashley Babbitt, may she rest in peace. She was a San Diego veteran for Trump, and she was a second generation when we launched that in 2016. And was known in that community as one who gave her heart to ensure that the voice of Trump was heard, and veterans and the reform. And she wore her MAGA hat proudly on the corners and whenever she was doing anything. But then Roseanne Boyland, who also passed away, may he rest in peace. Kevin Greason, may he rest in peace.
That's correct.
Benjamin Phillips was killed on J6. May he rest in peace. But I also want to add these names to it as well. These were the J6ers who committed suicide from this type of treasonous action. Matthew Perna, may he rest in peace. Mark Ongst, may he rest in peace. Gord Mitchum, may he rest in peace. And Christopher Gorgia, may he rest in peace. And then David Hommel, may he rest in peace. And most recently, because we brought up Matthew, that happened after his pardon. So there's more names, I'm certain, that we don't know for sure. But these are the ones that I know of and that I honor as fallen.
No, you're correct, Josh. I was going to bring that up, but I'm glad you did, because a lot of people don't know that. They keep on, and you could go back to, I hate to bring this back, but go to 9/11. There's 7,532 people still die from the 9/11 effects, but they keep on bringing about the 3,000. They want us to forget all the past.
They want us to talk more about.
Let's go back. I want to know.
We're in overtime, so
I want to know why buildings that didn't get hit by the airplanes came down on 9/11. I mean, the CIA. CIA.
There's a lot to learn here, and I know we've talked about this on The Hard Truth when we had.
It's going to get very, very deep, and it's going to go very deep, because we've been lied to. These people have been increasingly in control. And they've aimed to destroy the country, and they came very close to doing it.
We still have to keep. And they're not going away. They're not going away.
Yeah. Well, no, I want to clear that. So, by the way, first, Joshua, thank you for that list of people who have suffered the ultimate sacrifice, who've made this ultimate sacrifice. It's great to know. We need to honor them. As a matter of fact, I'd like to find a way to, if you guys have a list of those names, I hope you will put that together on a website so we can remind people, because this is one of the darkest days, the darkest periods in the history of the Republic. Not the democracy, the Republic, because the left always wants to call it a democracy. It's not. So we need to do that. Secondly, Jerry,
and that is Tony on j6vets.org, that list. Please, anyone can share it.
Good.
And use it.
Thank you. All right. So Chris, get that out if you could. So, and the other thing, people, to Jerry's point, our government has been behind more of the tragedies than I think we fully understand going way back. I mean, there was a memo put out that was released as part of the JFK assassination tranche that actually showed that the chairman of the Joint Chiefs in 1962 proposed that U.S. citizens, military members, be murdered to create a false flag. So I'm just saying, if you look at what they were willing to do then, and you look at how the deep state has done things since then, the J6 issue, the issues, Jerry, you just brought up regarding 9/11, we have a lot more that's going to come out that's going to change the way the American people see their own government. And it's not good. Right. It's going to be bad. And I think we have to be prepared. As Joshua just said, we had our government put citizens who disagreed with the direction of the deep state's preference, which is Joe Biden and the Democrats, that they became a wholly owned subsidiary of the Marxist Democrats. Right, Jerry? I mean, that's what we're talking about.
It's a Marxist party. It's headed towards being a treasonous party.
Right.
Yes.
We've got to go back and celebrate generals like Smedley Butler, who basically said all war is a racket. It's to, produce money, and these people want perpetual war. Where were the weapons of mass destruction that were supposed to be with Saddam Hussein? The weapons we found were weapons we sent. I mean,
and once again, the website, for the Patriots.
j6vets.org and onyour6.org.
Okay, onyour6.org and j6vets.org. Okay, we had some requests to repeat that.
Number six.
Right. Now, by the way,
make sure we get that out.
And tomorrow and Friday, Trixie and Deborah Lynn will be hosting the show.
Oh, good.
Yeah, so they got the 2 days.
Well, good. Well, before we go, I promised that I would preview Mark Milley's new hat when he defects to Afghanistan.
Make America suck again. It's a blue hat. Right? That's even better.
Here's his Haji hat. I'll mail this to Mark Milley so we can fit right in. There we go.
Who designed that? Elon. Who designed that?
Elon Mark wearing a Haji hat for his defection to Afghanistan. Mark, you will love baked goat, and man, oh man, there's something about goat eyeballs you will take to. I'm telling you, Mark. And by the way, it'll trim your waist down. Now, just another note for Mark before we go.
It'll make it easier for them to throw him off the roof.
I'm just saying, Mark, you're going to have to give up your high heel fetish. You can't wear high heels in the high deserts of Afghanistan. You get stuck in the dirt. So no more Macy's bought high heels. But you'll enjoy the hat and goat's eyes, right? Who doesn't want goat's eyes, right?
You can wear flats,
so there you go, Mark.
There you go.
You can wear flats or whatever with that.
What's amazing, the 14 that are on that list, they're 10 Oath Keepers and 4 Proud Boys.
Yeah.
Well, so Joshua, we're going to have you back here on the show.
Look forward to it, Tony.
George,
always.
We'll have you back. Yeah, look, we want to make this something that we can actually help promote and bring attention to what happened to you, what is happening, and where you want to go, because these things we want to be able to promote and keep going. So God bless you, Joshua. Thank you for keeping,
God bless you, sir.
For having come through and endured and come out stronger on the other end. That which doesn't kill us makes us stronger, which I've come to find is true.
It's a hero's journey, sir. It's a hero's journey.
Yep. We're all together. So thank you.
I volunteered for the firing squad.
For letting us be part of it.
Firing squad.
I love it, George. Well, I thought you would just be the guillotine holder. I thought you just be the guillotine.
Well, Trixie was saying drawing and quartering would have been better. So I just don't want to waste the horse energy on a bunch of Democrats.
It would have been.
Okay, so
well, we got to go. It's been another great show.
Gotta go, gentlemen.
Dr. Corsi, George, Chris.
Thank you.
God bless Godspeed.
We'll see you all soon. We'll be back Monday, so we'll see you then. But take care.
Right. Thank you. Appreciate it.
Okay, thank you. Bye.